Honduras Minister of Foreign Affairs Javier Booth described the meeting with the Cuban-American Congresswoman of the far right, Maria Elvira Salazar, at the U.S. Congress as interfering. In Brazil, federal police arrested former President Jair Bolsonaro under preventive measures. And in Palestine, authorities warn about the collapse of the healthcare system due to Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Friday in Tegucigalpa, the capital of Honduras, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Javier Booth described the meeting with the Cuban-American Congresswoman of the far right, Maria Elvira Salazar, at the U.S. Congress as interfering, although he downplayed the importance of the subcommittee that the legislature presides over, stating that it lacks relevance in the United States. He questioned the interference in Honduras' internal affairs. In a meeting convened by Ms. Salazar, not even representatives of President Donald Trump's government participated. Only private organizations and lobbyists attended, who were also questioned for representing private interests that have confronted the government of President Xiomara Castro for prioritizing the integrity and transparency of Honduras. The Bolivarian Armed Forces of Venezuela ratified the defense of national sovereignty in the face of threats and military deployment by the United States in the Caribbean. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez expressed his appreciation to musicians from different Venezuelan movements who, through rhythm and song, defend their sovereignty and represent the struggle of their ancestors. He affirmed that no naval deployment or threats should stop the joy and enthusiasm of the Venezuelan people who, day after day, are committed to their development. Daniel Lopez regretted that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is lending its territory for the destruction of sovereign peoples.
There, the people of Trinidad are disgusted, completely disturbed, by the unplanned, completely deliberate military actions and exercises that threaten Venezuela. And when they threaten Venezuela, they are threatening an entire continent, I mean the South American continent, and the Caribbean, of course, and its people. So none of that is going to take away our peace.
Así que nada de eso nos va a quitar nuestra tranquilidad.
During his speech, Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez rejected the United States military maneuvers in areas of interest in Venezuela.
Contundentemente, maniobras.
We strongly reject maneuvers, exercises, and deployments in our nearby area of interest in Venezuela. We strongly reject it. Enough is enough with the threats. Enough is enough with the lies, the insults. Enough is enough with the imposition of power. Enough is enough with the manipulation, just to preserve regional and local hegemony, for attempting to return to power by force in the global chaos in which we find ourselves, and in the rise of a new world order.
And through the Venezuelan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, President Nicolas Maduro thanked his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin for his birthday wishes on his 62nd birthday. The Russian government expressed, "Excellency, President, dear friend, please accept our heartfelt congratulations on your birthday. I remember with warmth our constructing some substantial negotiations that took place in Moscow in May. Without a doubt, we will continue our close cooperation in the interest of strengthening the ongoing strategic partnership between Moscow and Caracas." Finally, President Putin highlights, "I am confident that under your leadership, the Bolivarian Republic will overcome all challenges with dignity and defend its legitimate interests in these turbulent times. I would like to reaffirm our unshakable solidarity with the friendly people of Venezuela." Likewise, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko congratulated President Maduro on his birthday. The Belarusian government expressed, "Your Excellency, I would like to offer you my sincere congratulations on the occasion of your birthday. Your political wisdom, great patriotism, and unwavering loyalty to the Venezuelan people have shaped your life's journey as a fighter for freedom and sovereignty." Finally, Lukashenko referred, "I am convinced that the heroic past and the strength of the spirit of the loyal sons and daughters of Bolivarian Venezuela will guarantee the state's unshakable stability in the face of numerous threats, and that the consistent development of the Belarusian-Venezuelan strategic alliance between our peoples will contribute to the peace and prosperity of both countries." The President of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, joins the congratulations on the 62nd birthday of President Nicolás Maduro. In a letter sent to the Venezuelan President, Díaz-Canel expressed, "Dear brother Nicolás, receive the warmest birthday wishes and the hope that this will be a happy day with Celia, your children and grandchildren." President Díaz-Canel concluded, "I reiterate our determination to continue strengthening the bonds of friendship and solidarity that unite our peoples. We are convinced that the brave and heroic Venezuelan people will emerge victorious in the face of new imperialist threats." In other topics, in the United States, a Republican congresswoman announced her resignation from the National Congress following a political break with President Donald Trump. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor said she was unable to fit in with Donald Trump's administration and was rejected by the political elite at her arrival in Congress. She also said she will be leaving her seat in the House of Representatives in January 2025. Her resignation comes after months of public tensions with the U.S. President, whom she criticized for his handling of documents related to the Epstein case.
I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th.
You know, I have a first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Brazilian federal police arrested former President Jair Bolsonaro under preventive measures ordered by the country's federal Supreme Court. On Saturday, officials arrived at Bolsonaro's home in Brasilia to carry out the due process of transferring him to police headquarters. Authorities reported that the measure was taken with the aim of maintaining public order and security in the country. Since August, the far-right leader had been under house arrest at his residence for failing to comply with the precautionary measures established in the case. And Ecuador faces its most violent year on record with more than 7,550 intentional homicides between January and October 2025. According to reports, the figure reflects the security crisis in the country, which exceeds the numbers from 2024. As a result, analysts project that by the end of the year, there will be a total of 9,000 murders. Among the cities with the highest levels of violence are Guayas with 3,422 murders and Manabi with 1,000 victims. In this regard, authorities maintain that a large part of the crimes are linked to gangs that operate in key areas for the export of drugs to international markets. And on Friday, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel hosted UN Special Rapporteur Alina Duhan at the Palace of the Revolution in Havana. During the meeting, the President discussed how U.S.-imposed sanctions have affected the lives of all Cubans. The official tasked with evaluating the negative effects of unilateral coercive measures received a detailed report from the Cuban President, who highlighted not only the intensification of the blockade but also the fraudulent inclusion of Cuba on the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. During the meeting, which also included Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez and other government officials, the President discussed the economic and social damage caused by these measures, emphasizing the difficulties faced during the recovery efforts in eastern Cuba after Hurricane Melissa, as well as the illegality of the list drawn up by the White House.
insisto en el término recrudecimiento porque realmente es una...
I insist on using the term intensification because it truly describes the nature of the blockade at this time, and it has a lot to do with the measures Trump implemented during his first administration to intensify it, as well as with Cuba's inclusion on the list of countries that supposedly support terrorism. The whole idea of the list is completely incoherent, not to mention false, but it is incoherent, even within US foreign policy itself. Let me tell you something. Trump included us on the terrorist list during his first administration. Biden kept us there, and at the end of his term, he removed us. But when Trump took office again, within days, we were back on the list. It's hard to understand how the criteria for including a country on a list that is supposed to be as serious as this one for the United States can change so quickly. But the reality is that being on that list is a tremendous blow to the aspirations of the Cuban people.
Es un golpe tremendo a las aspiraciones del pueblo cubano.
Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel, during his visit to the province of Holguín, supervised the recovery efforts and preventive measures caused by Hurricane Melissa. The president spoke with the residents of Puerto and Sagua del Tánamo, two municipalities that suffer severe flooding due to the overflow of rivers. In turn, thousands of homes have been affected in the area, while electricity and communication services have almost fully recovered. Díaz-Canel also instructed to find a definitive solution to the water supply and to reinforce the epidemiological surveillance to prevent diseases such as dengue fever. Similarly, the Cuban president emphasized that the population of Holguín is not alone and that the revolution is advancing in its battle to address the situation.
Donations are arriving from international organizations and friendly countries. Many people have also made collections, and there is a group of donations that the state is distributing. It is not possible to distribute everything at once, but little by little. And above all, there is solidarity among everyone, and we want to recognize you for the way the population behaved. If you had not followed the guidelines given by the Zone Defense Council, today we would be mourning the loss of lives. But thanks to that, we did not have to. We are now back here.
Also in Cuba, Venezuelan brigades are moving forward with recovery efforts to counter the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa in the east of the country, an action of solidarity with Al-Batisipi countries. On Saturday, specialists continued their tour of the eastern region to repair affected infrastructure and inspect key production areas, while government structures and the country's political leadership assess the impact. In recent weeks, Venezuela has sent tons of solidarity aid and medical assistance to meet the needs of those affected. And France is on orange alert, the second highest level due to snowfall and the formation of black ice feared by drivers and pedestrians alike. Thermometers will show freezing temperatures with the alert in effect from 8 p.m. local time in an episode that is unusual for November, 1 month before the official start of winter. The Météo France agency warned that rain coming from Brittany will turn to snow at nightfall in the Paris region, although it is not yet possible to predict the magnitude of the phenomenon. We now have our second break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there will be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A final break, don't go away. Welcome back. Palestine authorities warn about the collapse of the healthcare system due to Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. Health authorities warn of a serious shortage of vital supplies, including medicines. They say that Palestinians are dying while waiting for treatment, as hospitals do not have the resources to treat different diseases. Authorities also highlighted the lack of a constant supply of fuel to keep the power plants of healthcare facilities running. On Friday, the United Nations Children's Fund reported that since the ceasefire in Gaza came into effect, Israel has killed at least 67 Palestinian children. According to the report presented by the organization's spokesperson, Ricardo Pires, among the victims is a baby girl who was killed during an airstrike against Han Yunis in the south of the Strip this Thursday. Pires described the pattern of executions by the genocidal regime as shocking and stated that since October 2023, more than 20,000 children have been killed or injured in the Palestinian enclave. UNICEF has also reaffirmed its rejection of the use of hunger as a weapon of war and points out the devastating effect that Israel's attacks has had on Palestinian childhood. In Palestine, a third intifada could erupt in occupied West Bank in response to the escalation of Israeli violence. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine denounced that the increase in violence by Israelis, acts of vandalism, and attacks on Palestinian civilians reveal a deeply entrenched fascist and racist doctrine among settler gangs. Additionally, the international community condemned the illegal Israeli settlements. It is important to note that the Zionist regime has intensified violence in the West Bank since October 7, 2023, when it launched a genocidal war against Gaza. Since then, Israeli forces and settlers have murdered hundreds of Palestinians in the occupied territory. And in Italy, thousands of people took to the streets to protest against Israeli crimes in the Gaza Strip. The protests marched through several streets in the city of Bologna with Palestinian flags and slogans in defense of the Palestinian people. In turn, police forces repressed the mobilization with water cannons fired at the protesters. The objective of the participants is to condemn the Zionist massacres in Gaza, where more than 67,000 Palestinians were killed. Now, news in Spain, family members of deceased residents protested to demand truth, justice, and the resignation of the president of the Community of Madrid, Isabel Díaz Ayuso, for her management of nursing homes during the pandemic. Healthcare associations and social movements marched through several streets in central Madrid to the government headquarters to denounce the non-referral protocols applied by Díaz Ayuso's administration in 2020. The measures consisted of prohibiting the transfer to hospitals of thousands of elderly people with dependency or cognitive impairment. According to the figures, at least 7,290 residents died without being transferred. And also in Spain, dozens of people mobilized in Badalona municipality in protest against eviction threats and institutional racism. Demonstrators condemned the eviction of a building that houses more than 400 homeless people. Foreigners reported that every week, one or two families are thrown out onto the streets, in addition to suffering racism from authorities. In recent days, the government of Badalona intensified its forced eviction policies in the town, affecting dozens of migrant families. And the G20 summit opened on Saturday in South Africa with an ambitious agenda to make progress on solving some of the long-standing problems that have afflicted the world's poorest nations. The event was presided over by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, in which he declared that the desire for development in the Global South and on the African continent will be reflected in the agenda of this major forum. This edition has a special focus on climate change mitigation and its impact on other nations, continuing the stance defended by South African Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Leon George, at COP30 in Brazil. The main challenge this year is the boycott by the United States on the grounds that South Africa is applying racist policies against whites and persecuting its white Afrikaner minority. At least we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.